wow, it's so clean in there. No, that's the way it looks on a regular basis. Yeah. And if it doesn't look.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Why Bother, the podcast where we explore why creative makers bother doing things the hard way. I'm your host, Gareth Davies from Maker House, and with us today is our guest, Elizabeth Jacques from Wood Chip Decor.
You can just call me Liz, that's fine.
Okay, we'll keep it less formal.
Yeah,
we're all friends here.
Friends.
All right, casual. Liz Jacques from Wood Chip Decor, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome, this is fun.
We're excited to learn more about your business, your background, have some fun. Let's get into it.
Yeah, okay.
So we're going to start with something we like to call
bother, not bother.
Okay.
So you just get to answer those two things.
Okay.
Let's start with early mornings.
Bother.
Bother. You are a morning person.
Yes.
Okay, then late nights.
No, that's not happening. Brain does not function.
Not bother. Okay, well, you've been awake for 12 hours already.
Yes.
What about coffee?
No, never got a taste for it.
So you do early mornings with no coffee, so you're basically a superhuman.
I guess, sure. Why not?
There's a cape behind her.
There's something back here.
Then tea, I guess?
Occasionally, yes.
Occasionally.
That's more for trying to fall to sleep.
Okay.
So chamomile tea.
How about biking?
No, there's hills. I don't like hills.
And kayaking?
Yes, that's a bother.
That's a bother. Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's do gardening.
Yes, that is an obsession, not a hobby anymore. It's
not just a bother.
Obsession.
It is a full obsession. Okay, yes. We're going to dig into that a bit more later. See what I did there? So now we're going to learn a bit more about your business, of course.
Okay.
You were in the construction industry for years before this.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've always been handy, working in renovations. Can you unpack that transition a little bit for us? And feel free to talk about the projects you worked on before, too.
Okay, well, I actually went to school for heritage carpentry in Algonquin in Perth. So the idea was originally to go and do construction, work on homes. So I've worked on old homes. I've worked on new homes. I've worked in cabinet shops, all that kind of stuff. And yeah. I loved it. And I still love it. I mean, we have a house that's over 150 years old. It needs a lot of work and I'm still going on it. But we knew we started transitioning about a little over 5-6 years ago that if we wanted to have a family, I couldn't be doing the long hours. And the thing is, like, at the time, I was also working in a cabinet shop. And cabinet shops are great, but the amount of chemicals they use is not conducive to being pregnant,
right.
even in the early stages. So we knew that I wanted to do something. I wanted to continue being hands-on, being a maker, doing something. And I'd been doing crafts and stuff like this for years with my mom. So I wanted to do something like this, something where I could make something and be at home, have a shop on our property. So when we bought our property, we bought one with some sort of a building that took 5 months. So before I could actually use it because it was falling down, but that's a different topic.
That's not bad actually for a renovation project, 5 months.
It was 5 months to get usable. It's still not technically done.
Yeah.
But it's usable. So, but yeah, that was the idea, to find a place where we could have the shop set up in the backyard, because then I could do things like what I do now, where I do like kind of split days. I have I do some paperwork in the morning and then do some shop time. And then I can plan it out that some of the shop stuff I can do with my daughter in the shop with us or with me. If I'm painting or if I'm going to be running the laser, that kind of stuff, I can do that whether she's in there, but I can't sand things. I can't spray clear coats, all that kind of stuff. So it's planning that out. But having the shop in the backyard, having this business allows me to still do something similar to what I love, but also have her with me all the time.
Yeah.
So
you're a great planner. A lot of people stumble into entrepreneurship. You were like laser focused.
I mean, laser focused on the end goal, not necessarily laser focused on how to run a business. That's still a learning process in general. But
not to mention the curveballs that come with, COVID and every year
let's just throw this over here and throw this over here. And okay, we'll figure it out as we go. But because yes, you can still obviously have do construction and have kids and all that kind of stuff. But we wanted to have her home. We didn't want to do daycare and stuff like that. Because when I was growing up, that's what my mom did. My mom sewed. She didn't have a business, but she sewed for other businesses. Yeah. And so she was able to be home with me
Amazing.
while I was little and all that kind of stuff, but still have her own thing going.
Yeah. What a great balance if you can strike it. And again, not for everybody. Some people prefer that separation.
Yeah.
But I know as an entrepreneur myself, I love that balance as long as you're keeping up with work, obviously, because you got to pay the bills.
Yes.
And it did take you some time to get over the hump to where you were full-time in Wood Chip Decor.
Yeah.
Liz is one of the talented makers we get to work with. So we've got some of her products for anybody watching on YouTube. There are a couple of products in front of us and she's got many, many more. But how long did it take you from starting Wood Chip Decor kind of in its current form as a side hustle to, I guess, leaving your old job and going full-time?
About 3 years ago is when I was able to say, okay, well, I'm done. I'm not going back to construction. I'm not going back to, at the time I was working in a cabinet shop. I'm not going back to that. Part of that was due to COVID and everyone all of a sudden shopping from their living room.
You got this big bump. There
was a massive bump. Everyone and anyone was shopping online. So that made it a little bit easier because I had all my stuff was already on there. I'd already done at least that part. So by the time things started settling back down and my old boss was like, okay, you can come back. I'm like, I'm not coming back.
Not bother.
Yeah, that's, I'd love to, but no.
We can still be friends though.
Yeah, we can still be friends, but that's not happening. So I was preparing for it, but it definitely that accelerated a little bit more.
Yeah, that's great. And people were looking for home decor, which is, it's your category. It's what you do. Liz makes things out of natural wood, but they're modern and geometric in style. Lots of great colors.
Yeah. So I try to do most of my stuff as usable items because I'm not necessarily minimalist, but I do like the idea of not having things that just necessarily always just sit there. I don't want trinkets everywhere. I'd rather have usable things that are also beautiful.
Functional art.
Exactly.
Now let's talk about something specific in your business that you do the hard way and you still choose to do it maybe harder than you could. And is there a specific reason you still bother doing it that way?
So I try not to do things harder than I have to.
Fair enough.
For obvious reasons.
Yeah, you're balancing a lot and trying to be efficient.
Yes. So, but the things that I do pick to do harder, usually have there's a reason and there's it was worth it at the end. And part of it would be running this business while taking care of my daughter instead of sending her to daycare or that kind of thing. That's something I do that's harder. It takes longer to get things done. I don't get full work hours. I don't get full work days. There's some times where, you're working on something and it would go so much faster if you could just have 2-3 hours of solid focus.
Yeah.
And you have to split it up into 15-minute, 20-minute sprints. But it's worth it because I get to have her with me. I mean, that's the kind of stuff we do in my business. That's, it's harder, but it's worth it.
That's awesome. I mean, what a great exposure for her at 2 years old. And she's going to grow up in your wood shop. That really is amazing. And she's lucky. And I imagine from your perspective, you're working with your daughter right there. Mm-hmm. It's got to be motivational too. Mm-hmm. So good for you to strike the balance. That's tricky. And I'm sure a lot of entrepreneurs out there can relate mm-hmm. if they're listening. The last part of this segment before we take a quick break, we're going to do something we like to call
the cost of convenience.
Now, this is basically something that people do that saves time or money, but there might be a hidden cost to it. So can you think of an example out there that people do that they seek convenience and they may not recognize the hidden cost?
Well, one for us is their food. We tend, most of the time, most people, you go to the big box stores, you pick up the stuff, you pick up whatever food's there. So we tend to do more of the benefit of inconvenience kind of idea, where we are growing a lot of our own food, which is great, but it's the inconvenience of you have to grow your own food. And then at the end of the harvest season, you have to preserve all that food so that you have it throughout the year.
Right.
And we, even outside of that, we go to local farms. I don't have enough space on our property to devote to growing all the corn we want, growing all the, growing strawberries. Peaches just don't grow here. They grow down where my sister-in-law lives, but they don't grow here.
Yeah.
So being able to buy that in bulk from the farmer, and then bring it home. But that means I had to preserve it.
Yeah.
But the benefit of that inconvenience is we get healthier food. And a lot of times it's a lot better. We still have a little bit of strawberries left from last year. And I kid you not, opening that freezer bag, it smells like they just came off the field.
Amazing.
So, I mean, it's the inconvenience of having to do that, but
that's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. It's a lot of work, but it is worth it.
Yeah.
So
good for you. So that kind of counterbalances the mainstream approach, which is
just to go to the grocery store and pick up stuff, which it's picked not at the peak ripeness. Because a lot of times I have someone that I'm a gardener person that I follow, and she has a phrase that grocery store tomatoes taste like disappointment. Because they are not picked at the ripeness, at the peak ripeness. If you pick a sun ripened from your garden tomato and eat it right then and there, it will be unbelievably different.
Yeah, I'd love to learn more about that, maybe even offline, because I'm a gardener myself, not nearly at the level that you are. And I'd love to hear more about the land you've got, the crops you're growing. And I'm just fascinated by the preservation process through the winter, having strawberries that are picked in season and you're eating them the next spring, you know, and then you're ready basically to eat fresh ones again this summer. It's really phenomenal. So good for you. We're going to take a really quick break here. For anybody watching or listening, please do subscribe and like and share so we can grow our audience with you fine folks. And we'll be right back with Liz from Wood Chip Decor. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Why Bother, the podcast where we explore why creative makers bother doing things the hard way. I'm here with our guest today, Liz Jacques from Wood Chip Decor. And if you're listening or watching, first of all, thank you. And please do like or subscribe or share so we can grow our audience. Now, we're going to jump right back into some fun facts about your industry, which is home decor. You're making everything by hand. So it's extra special for people to have these pieces in their house. But there's some interesting science and research on how a messy space or an unorganized space can impact your eating, can lead to unhealthy habits, or on the flip side, an organized house can actually lead to spikes in productivity. Things like color can really influence our mood. How does this relate to your business and what you're doing with Wood Chip Decor?
I know personally that if my space is unorganized, then nothing's getting done. Nothing's getting done efficiently of any kind. And as a mom with a 2-year-old, you kind of need to make the most of every second you have, because you know, sometimes it's going to be, no, we now have to sit here for an hour and read the same book for 15 minutes over and over and over again. And so you're not going to get anything done then. But having an organized space, you feel better getting things done. You feel happier getting things done.
So there's less clutter in your mind when there's less clutter in your space.
So like I'll have times where I'm going into my workshop and I have orders all over the place. I've got things that need to get done. I only have a limited amount of time that I can work in there. But like I know that if it's not organized, I have to stop. I have to stop and I have to organize this, because it's just going to be so much harder. It's going to be so much more frustrating to get things done. I'm not going to want to be in there. I'm only going to do the bare minimum to get stuff done. And then I'm going to be scrambling later to try and get things finished, versus if I spend, 15 minutes, even an hour cleaning the place, putting things away, then I want to be in there. Like people will come into my shop and they'll say like, wow, this is really clean shop. I'm like, yeah, because I have to get things done in a very specific amount of time.
I've seen those comments on your Instagram post. Yeah. We've made those comments like,
wow, it's so clean in there. That's the way it looks on a regular basis. And if it doesn't look like that,
cleanest wood shop in all of the land, folks.
A fellow maker who comes out to use my laser engraver, and he has a slightly unorganized workshop to put nicely. And he admits it, but he'll come out and he'll joke saying like, I don't know where anything is in your shop because it's too clean. Like I'm used to having like all the tools on every single surface. So it's like, oh, it's there. Okay, we're good. It's like, no, it's in the drawer where it's supposed to be, because I don't need it on the table. What I need on the table is space so that I can think properly. Yeah. But then at the same time, having color in there is extremely important, because it makes you want to be out there.
Right.
Like I have a wooden tiled wall that I did. I didn't need to do that. It took me a long time to cut out all these little hexagons, router the edges, stain them, and then apply them to this wall. It took a long time to do that, but it's beautiful and it inspires creativity. It's like, oh, this is kind of fun, kind of idea.
Gives you a spark every day when you look at it.
And the same thing like with my daughter, like she's in the workshop with me. Okay, I could have set up a table and chair for her that's her spot, but I built her a rainbow playhouse in the workshop. And again, it just adds more color. It's more fun. It's nice. Like as many places as I can add color. I have a whole bunch of plans to add even more color. And as I get more time, I add a little bit here, a little bit there, because the more colorful and exciting it is to be in there, the more I want to be in there. It's more inspiring to be creative in a colorful, organized space.
It's amazing how color can trigger things mentally. Yeah, they say like, blue and green colors can be calming, or like orange and yellow would be great in the kitchen, apparently, because it can stir up your appetite.
Well, I've heard red you shouldn't put in your dining room because it makes you eat more.
That's funny. What about your products? Because you talked about color in your wood shop.
Yeah.
But color is a big part of what you make.
Yeah, because it's the same sort of idea. Like I try to focus the majority of my products on things that are usable, like usable art, basically. Because again, it's the more organized, the more you go down the route of being organized, the more you don't necessarily want just clutter, you want knickknacks, that kind of thing. Like there's nothing wrong with having, this reminds me of this trip we took together and whatever. You don't necessarily want to have little tchotchkes everywhere. So having usable pieces that are also colorful, that bring that color, bring that fun, that pop into your house. You can have that bright and colorful space, even if you can't paint your walls. Yeah. You can still add that color. You can still add that fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I love your geometric shapes, your hexagon shelves. You've got the mountain shelves, lots of other.
Yeah, there's planters, there's air plant hangers, there's trivets, there's coasters, there's trays, there's wine charms, there's the shelves. I have different shelves, different sizes of shelves. I've got mountains, I've got small mountains, large mountains, all different things. And the shelves are a big one that people can just customize to their heart's content, because every single shelf can be a different color if they want. I've done one for my daughter's room where we did a rainbow. Yeah,
I love how they're modular. So you could have a single hexagon shelf or a group of 3, and it can still look like a honeycomb. So it's really customizable to your own space and personality. So let's go back to where this all started for you. Growing up or early on in your craft, who would you say was your biggest supporter, and why would you say that person?
My parents. And a funny story is that my dad wanted a boy. I'm an only child.
Okay.
So he was convinced. He was they didn't find out what I was. They were convinced it's a boy. It's a boy. It's a boy. And apparently like a month before I was born, my mom's like, maybe we should pick a girl's. Why? Why would we need a girl's?
Gotta have an option.
No, it's a boy. But he decided, to hell with it. I'm just going to teach her anyway. So I was taught how to build things, renovations, how to use the tools. I was in the workshop. I had a bench so that I could reach the tool bench faster.
Amazing.
So I was in the workshop with him. I think when I was about 11 or 12, they were so comfortable with me in there that, if I wanted to go do a project, they didn't follow me. They were just like, you need to go for it kind of idea, which is kind of what we're doing with Jean-Marie, is to basically get her used to all these. And she doesn't care. She just wanders around the workshop, does her own thing. She has her own relocation services, so I don't know where any of my tools go. Nice. Drill bits appear in random locations. So that partly dad was the renovation, all that kind of stuff, gardening. And then mom was in crafts and still is. I think she sews for 3 different charities in Ottawa. And on top of that makes stuff for their craft shows. But any craft that I even hinted, or craft that she's like, oh, this would be fun, let's try it. It looks like Michael's in my parents' basement. There's so many craft supplies. For my maker stuff, it was them. And
you come by it naturally, obviously. You grew up in a very crafty household and family, and different skill sets.
They were just like, we're just going to teach her everything.
Yeah, and now it's just
that was just everything. Now everyone's just like, well, that's just what Liz knows.
Yeah, exactly. And your daughter too. Yeah. It's so cool.
She just follows with me everywhere I go, the same way I did when I was a kid. So.
Yeah, good for your parents to be that skilled at things, and then great for them to expose you from a very young age, and then trust you as you grew up. Not even a teenager yet, working on your own projects
Here's
in
the tools.
woodworking.
Don't cut any fingers off, you know?
So I think we can trust you to make some shelves for our house.
Yes.
And one of the reasons we love carrying your products at Maker House, you are really, a natural, almost like a protege, if you think of it that way, growing up so young, working on things. Now we'd like to just share a couple of tips from your experience running your business, Wood Chip Decor, for new makers, aspiring makers, people that want to get into their own business. Can you think of a couple things that you'd suggest they do or not do?
One thing would be to just ask. So if you have a maker that you're following, that you love what they're doing, and you're like, oh, I really wish I could be, that much further ahead. I wish I could be doing what they're ask. Most of the time, we still don't know what we're doing. But if we have any inkling of like, hey, this might help you, a lot of us are more than willing to answer those questions. We're more than willing to be like, it's like, this is what I did. You can give it a try. I mean, it's working for me on this front. So, why not? That kind of idea. But my biggest tip would just be find someone that you admire what they're doing, or you think that their business is at a point where you would love to be, and just ask questions. Don't bombard them. I mean, they are doing something, are busy.
Yeah, be respectful.
Be respectful of their time,
yeah.
But ask questions.
Yeah, it's a great tip. There's a big community out there. They've been where you are.
Most of the time they feel like they still are where you are.
Right. So you'd be surprised at they're still dealing with, like you said, challenges that, might be a different version of what you're going through. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes it can be helpful for them too, to connect. So just tap into that network of support. It's a really good tip. And some things you might be able to share and commiserate over would be like, what's your business disaster? Here's a little segue. That's my next question. What would be your, quote unquote, biggest business disaster that you can recall that, maybe it was bigger in your head than for other people, but.
I mean, do I have to answer this? Like,
you don't have to.
To the mistakes that I've made?
No, but it can be helpful for people to hear like, oh man, that's, that's what I'm going through.
I did that too.
Exactly.
Okay. So it's not just me. Okay. So we're all doing that. Yeah, no, we're all doing that. Don't worry. We're all making these mistakes.
100%.
Or at least variations of the same. Mine was, to put it simply, throwing my hands in the air and saying, I have no idea what I'm doing. About this time last year, my daughter, when she turned about 1 year old, that's when it actually hit me as a new mom of, I don't know how to mom. I don't know how to mom. I don't know how to business. I don't know how to person. I have no idea what I'm doing. And threw my hands in the air. And my husband and I actually sit down together and we realized I hadn't taken a break after she was born. I was in the workshop a week after she was born. I was in there. And there's nothing wrong with that, because I do think it's important as a parent to keep your own identity, because they joke for moms, especially, that when you're pregnant, everything's about you. Everything's like, everyone's interested in you. Yeah. The second the kid is born, you are entourage. You mean nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, you do, but you really don't at the same time. Everyone, the grandparents, oh my God, the baby.
Yeah.
It's like pushing past you and all. No, they don't.
You're just
you are it's like, you are so-and-so's mom. No, I am a person outside of this. So that was about the time where I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And so we made the decision that, okay, let's take a break, take the summer to just relax, play in the garden, be with her, all this kind of stuff.
Fill up your bucket again a little bit.
Yeah, which again, there's nothing wrong with taking a break. Yeah. The problem that I was at was that prior to this, my marketing was kind of flying by the seat of my pants. Okay. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have this is what we should have. I didn't have automations. I didn't have systems. I didn't have any templates of anything. I mean, when I posted on Instagram, which was my marketing, which is not marketing, that is not a marketing plan. Posting on Instagram is not a marketing plan.
Maybe part of a marketing plan.
Yes. Yeah. When I just send things like post on Instagram, it was like, oh shoot, it's the morning, I need to post today.
Yeah.
Versus having this is the product I want to promote this month, or I want to do a sale next month. Let's get some stuff prepared for that and make sure that I have emails to send to my subscribers, or having different posts even to do that. Like that kind of marketing plan of there's much greater portion of that. But my biggest blunder was not having a plan where I could take that break, take that time that I needed to be like, I don't know how to people anymore.
Right.
And just go and say, okay, let's take a break, but at the same time, not let the business completely flatline.
Right.
Like last summer.
Because everything was day to day with your marketing before that.
So like last year it was, if an order came in during the summer, it was, yoo, this is fantastic. Awesome. I'll make this. But that was it. There was no, making sure that my Etsy algorithm was up to date, making sure that I was actually posting that was, actually had a story and a follow through to it, that kind of thing. Yeah, all this kind of stuff. And when you're running this kind of thing, you have to remember that, like, you're selling to, say, a shop like Maker House, you guys aren't looking for your Christmas stuff at the end of October necessarily. If you're going to be taking on more stuff, you're probably starting, like, most shops are looking at like July and August kind of thing. Because yes, this is how long it takes me to make something. Yeah, but you have to remember that they have to plan their season as well. Yeah. They have to plan their marketing as well. They have to say, okay, they have to sit down and order your stuff along with all the other people that they're communicating. Yeah. You have to make it. It has to get to them. They have to, if they're going to put it on their website, they have to get it merchandised, all that kind of stuff. That's not just say, oh, well, end of October, it's Christmas. No, end of October, it's New Year's. It's Valentine's Day. We are in next year, people.
Yeah. That is what marketing and planning marketing is all about, just being 3 to 6 months ahead and seeing the seasons coming for sure. Yeah. So you've managed to navigate through that rut that you found.
Mm-hmm. I'm still navigating out of it. This year's focus has been a lot of setting up those systems so that I'm not flying by the seat of my pants. Because by the time I got to the end of the summer last year, it was September and we were in end of last quarter, end of the year. And it was, you're still flying by the seat of your pants because you still haven't prepared for that. So this year it was like, okay, let's just survive till the end of the year. Yeah. And then we'll actually do a proper, setting up things. Every time you have something that that you're going to do more than once, make it a template, make it a system, make it automated if you possibly can. If you can, that's the best part because then you just don't have to worry about that.
I could totally relate to that. Maker House early on, we were also flying by the seat of our pants, and over the years, you do evolve, and it's really about just iterating every year, being a little bit more organized, learning about new automations. So I love that you brought that up. I think it could be really helpful for any makers who might be listening.
And the thing is, most makers go into this like, I love sewing. That's fantastic. I love that for you. But a business that's not making money is an expensive hobby. So if you yes, you're selling it, but you're selling something you're doing for you're selling the occasional thing you make for fun at that point. Right. You actually setting up all of these things turns it into an actual business and something that you can, I need to take the weekend off. Okay, well then you can take the weekend off because your business is not going to flatline because you haven't done anything. Yeah,
you've got posts scheduled or emails going out. So really great tip and reflecting on a hard time in your business and how you've come through it. We're going to take a quick break and then we'll be right back with the last part of our interview here with Liz on Why Bother. Stay tuned.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Why Bother, the podcast where we explore why creative makers like Liz here from Wood Chip Decor bother doing things the hard way. Mm-hmm. We're actually focusing right now on the fun way of sampling some chocolate from our store. So for those of you listening, we're going to do our best to describe what we're eating. This is a segment we like to do with each of our guests. We're trying Liz's pick today. And by the way, it's actually Liz's birthday today. Just found out. So happy birthday, Liz. Yay. We won't sing to you or embarrass you too much, but for those of you who are watching, it's not going to be your birthday when we post this, but do drop a happy birthday in the comments.
Yes.
And I love that you mentioned, we talked about a marketing plan and you're really on the ball now because you're having like a birthday sale, buy one, get one.
Buy one, get one half off because my daughter, my birthday is today, and in 10 days, my daughter's birthday. So in between the two birthdays, I'm running a buy one, get one half off because me and my mini-me.
Super cute. Super cute.
It was adorable. So I was like, yes.
Great marketing plan. You're all over it. And that won't be active when we post this video, but I bet you if you stay tuned next June, which is when we're filming, then you probably can get in a little mini-me action with Wood Chip Decor. Stay tuned. Definitely follow her. We're going to try some chocolate from Peace by Chocolate. Mm-hmm. They're based in Antigonish, Nova Scotia. Wonderful story of Syrian refugees who came to Canada and restarted their chocolate factory that they had in Syria. So thank you for picking this because I get to taste it too. Yes. And today we're trying their Pride Bar. which is one of their chocolate bars infused with hazelnuts.
Oh, good.
So cheers.
I didn't cheers. I just dug in.
Yeah, as you should. It's your birthday. I'm sorry we don't have candles for you.
That's okay.
What do you think? What's
Really good.
overall impressions?
I've had this stuff before and I've really liked it because it's a nice creamy chocolate.
So yeah, they've been making chocolate for a long time. And one of the things I love about Piece by Chocolate is their branding and their marketing and how they take the bars and they'll use it to raise money.
I like the packaging that they do because it's not just we sell chocolate. We sell chocolate and we have all these beautiful things. We support all these beautiful. I like how, I mean, color. I'm very into color. And I love how colorful their chocolate bar wrappers even are. So
Yeah, they do a great job. Thank you for picking chocolate today.
Yes.
And happy birthday.
Thank you.
We're going to ask you about your own biggest hobby outside of work. We've been learning a lot about Wood Chip Decor and how you do balance your work life, your family life, how you transition from your career in construction and renovation into running your own business. How do you let off steam? Do you even have time for a hobby?
It's not so much a hobby as so much an obsession now. So when we moved to our property, I said we made sure to have a spot that had an exterior building for my workshop. I was like, okay, I'm going to set up a garden. So I just had some random material that I just kind of threw together. My mom bought me dirt for my birthday. So
it's your dirt day.
Yes, it's fantastic. I get dirt and gravel for birthdays. It's fantastic. Everyone's like, that's a weird gift. That's a wonderfour gift.
You know how expensive good dirt is?
It is. It's very expensive.
Especially when you have a farm, a big space. Yeah.
Yeah. So I set up 4 little beds and they totaled about 32 square feet. And I grew more tomatoes than I knew what to do with, more cucumbers than I knew what to do with. At that point, I didn't know how to can. I didn't know how to pressure can. I didn't know how to dehydrators. We had a little tiny freezer that was, for the most part, to be honest, filled with boxes of stuff from the freezer from the grocery store.
Right.
So I'm like, I don't know how to do any of this. And it's one of the people that I follow for my gardening. She has a saying that you don't grow meals, you grow ingredients. So you kind of need to learn how to cook.
Right.
I wasn't at that point. I was just gardening. But since then, we've gone from 32 square feet. Then the next expansion was 700 square feet.
Whoa.
Then it went from that to we now have about 2,000 square feet, plus a 8 by 16 foot greenhouse, plus the amount of grass that Dan has to cut on a regular basis continues to shrink because I continue to build more gardens.
Yeah. So it's still a lot of work.
Yeah.
But you can do some winter gardening in the greenhouse.
Yeah. So this is the first year we've actually had it fully set up. So I was able to, I had like a little grow table in my kitchen to start my seedlings, and then we were able to move it out. There's still a few spots to seal in the greenhouse because I built that out of cedar logs and branches and stuff, old windows. It would have been built a lot faster if I bought a kit, but I didn't want a kit. I wanted mine.
Yeah.
I wanted something that was pretty.
DIY. That's your whole
kind of what I do.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we now grow a good portion of the food that we eat. I've actually got to the point where I've got mom friends from some of Jean-Marie's play groups that I'm now teaching them how to grow because they started, they're like, I think I want to start a garden. I'm like, my grow table's already set up. And they looked at me and said, you're teaching us.
Yeah.
Hi.
You've been recruited, voluntold.
Hi, how you doing? So, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's definitely an obsession. I have been planting out my garden this year for probably the past month. And I still have plants in the greenhouse that need to go in a space that's not prepared yet.
When you have 2,000 square feet, it takes quite a while to get things.
That doesn't consider the 300 square feet of flower space in the front garden. That's just the
ornamental
food
stuff.
That's just the food spot. That's not the ornamental spot.
Yeah, good for you. And all while obviously running a business and raising a young daughter as well. So I can relate. I am a small time gardener. I have about 100 square feet. But we get a lot done in that. Yeah, it's a good urban garden in our backyard here in Ottawa. I'm a member of the Facebook group Edible Ottawa, which I highly recommend. It's not like the magazine Edible Ottawa. It's a community group for gardeners, people who grow food, edibles. And you gain so many tips. And if you just have a question about whether it's bugs or what is this plant? I didn't put it in my soil and it came back. Then the people there are amazing. How to keep the squirrels out. So, we could have a whole episode about this.
But I'm really glad that you highlighted your journey into gardening and it's exploding. You're like peak obsession right now.
Yes.
So maybe
obsessed.
we'll have to like visit or get some pictures one day because it'll be inspirational for me to see that and live vicariously.
You come take a look at the workshop too, because that's what people do. They go from the garden to the workshop and they just kind of ping pong around the yard. It's kind of fun.
You are like a modern day homesteader and I love it. I'm so here for it. So let's wrap up by telling people where they can find you. It was so great to share your story about Wood Chip Decor. Where can people follow you and see what you're up to?
So the website is woodchipdecor.com. So you can find all the stuff we have there. And then for social, the place we post the most is Instagram. I do a little bit of posting on Facebook, but most of the people that are my customers that follow me are on Instagram. So that's where I focus.
Awesome.
And that's wood_chip_decor.
Okay.
So
on Instagram. Sounds good.
Instagram.
Yeah, get out there and follow her. Yes. How did you come up with the name, by the way?
I don't know. People ask me that all the time. I'm like,
you were covered in sawdust, probably.
I'm covered in sawdust all the time. It's May to October. There's dirt as well because of the garden. But no, it's I don't know, honestly. I started a YouTube channel that was Wood Chip Liz, and then that morphed into Wood Chip Decor, the actual business of it. And I honestly don't know where it came from.
It's kind of been part of your life since you were young.
Yeah, it just in
the wood shop with your dad making furniture and stuff. Yep. So Wood Chip Liz from Wood Chip Decor and Gareth from Maker House. Thank you for tuning in to Why Bother. We look forward to seeing you next time, and please do like, subscribe, and share. See you soon.